Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this episode are solely those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of the co-host or the podcast team.
In a world where truth hides in the shadows, faith still shines through. Where the seen and unseen collide, when everyone else is of the world, we are the Not of This World podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Not of This World podcast. My name's Steve. My co-captain is right now. Josh isn't with me today. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a look back at episode 2 where we shared our testimonies. With all the new subscribers we have, we just wanted to take the time to share who we were again. And I don't think you're going to get it the same way as the first time we did it because we were brand new to this. And I think it shows in the video quality, the audio, everything about it. We were just learning at the time, but we still stand by our testimonies. We're very proud to be believers of Jesus Christ. So if you also believe in Jesus Christ, give us a like, subscribe, and share it with other people. We'd like to hear where you're from because you never know when we're going to move. The Phoenix area is getting humongous, and I never really wanted to live in a big city, and I live in a suburb off of it, but it's gotten huge. So if you have a place that you would suggest to move to that has a strong character and Christian values, that's what we're looking for. So add it in the comments. Let us know. Without further ado, here's our testimonies. Thanks.
Yeah, I can go first.
You don't have to go. I mean, we can each kind of go a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I think we're doing this impromptu. So like, it's like if it was scripted and I had a little piece of paper in front of me, I'm like, I know I'm gonna have a feeling like I left something out.
Yeah.
I guess the core part for me, starting off with my religious experience, is I was born in Salt Lake City, in 1980, and I grew up on a block where every single person on my block was Mormon, including myself. My parents were Mormon, and it was interesting to go to school because everyone that went to school with me went to church with me.
Okay.
And I remember going to a friend's house for like a play date or whatever, and walking in and seeing a cross on their wall because traditionally Mormons don't have crosses as a symbol that they glorify. And what's that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I go and I asked about the cross because I'd not seen that a lot. And the guy's like, yeah, we're like, the dad was police officer. He goes, yeah, we're Catholic. I said, what's Catholic? And the dad's like, go, please talk to your mom about this. So I went home and that's when I first realized there's more than just a Mormon religion.
Okay.
And so I was baptized in the Mormon church. And my recollection of all of it, it's much as Mormon church might be mysterious to people, it wasn't any different than my Christian baptism. You're literally they ask you if you believe in Jesus Christ and he was resurrected and you put your faith in him, which I answered yes. And you get dunked in water and that's over. As much as I think my views are different now than the Mormon church, the one thing that stood out to me, and I was I was watching a near-death experience on YouTube, and this gentleman described that when you get to heaven, there's no sun. Okay. But God and Jesus are the sun. Yeah, they illuminate everything. Yeah. And as a little kid, my mom had asked me after I got baptized, how did it feel? And I said, I could feel the presence of God. And she's like, oh, how do you know? I said, it felt like the sun was put in my chest.
Wow.
And it was this moment where I knew God was real. And it's carried me through my life having that faith. But fast forward, my parents got split up when I was younger. I had moved around a bunch and gone between parents. And by the time I got back to living with my mom, at one point, she had left the church, the Mormon church. And she said, I'm not going to make you go to church if I'm not going to church. So I chose not to go to church. Okay. And I didn't touch churches. I didn't go to a church except for a handful of times with friends. And it was always different denominations, and it was always so much different than the Mormon church.
Yeah.
And I always kind of felt like I prayed. I felt like I had a relationship with God. I didn't touch the Bible. Okay. I never touched the Bible. And I'd hear people talking about it, and I always chalked it up as like stories. Like I didn't know if it was real or not, to be honest. Like some of the things you hear, I would hear about Noah's Ark and Moses parting the sea. And so I'd read the Bible, or I'd hear stories about the Bible. And like, as I moved away from Utah and that focal core of like everyone being Mormon, the more I moved away from it and I got to even Arizona where we live now, it was almost like the Mormons were made fun of.
Okay.
And it was this thing where like I wanted to distance myself from that religion as much as possible because I wanted to be cool and popular.
Yeah.
And you fast forward through the Marine Corps, I went to a few different services at different places, but I never really got back into church until I met my wife. And during those times in between when I met my wife and the times when I went to church again, that was definitely my backsliding. I still prayed, I still believe in God, but I was definitely not living the life of a Christian. And that doesn't need to be talked about in my testimony because there's enough stuff in there that I'm convicted that I can relate to anybody who has come to Christ now that he took me where I was at and cleaned me up and turned me around. But I started going to church and I was kind of living that in-between life where I was going to church on Sundays, but I wasn't actually living like a Christian should, I think.
Yeah.
And I did the right things. I said the right things, but I wasn't reading my Bible still. And I was watching the midterm elections in 2022 and I couldn't, I thought the country needed change. And I saw the way that that night was going. And I was like, I don't want to be sucked up into this anymore.
Yeah.
So my wife had tried to get me to watch The Chosen like a lot.
Yeah.
And I finally said, what's that show? It's about Jesus. She's like, The Chosen? I'm like, yeah, let's watch it. And by the end of the first episode, if you haven't seen it, and I don't want to do spoiler alerts for it, we touched on this in the last video, but it scene with Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And if I'm saying her name right, Magdalene. Jesus meets her for the first time, and it's a super powerful scene, and it had me very emotional, which I've heard a lot of people mention that they feel the same way. But knowing her story from the Bible, just from going to church and whatnot, I know how broken she was. And for him to be there and you just feel this like surrender.
Yeah.
And this moment in my life where I was like, well, what if Jesus came back in my lifetime? How would I feel if I saw him face to face? And it really started to like, it kind of was like this crack in my foundation that was like, I've not built this house on solid rock.
I had that feel.
Right. So I built this house on the wrong foundation and it kind of crumbled me down. And I started everything just started changing. And I started seeing things differently and I started getting excited. Everything that was in the world that meant a lot to me started becoming less and less. And I started like taking church way more serious. I started reading the Bible every day. And having kids helped that too. Like having a family and wanting to be that example for my kids to learn from, not from like what I tell them to do and actually show them. I definitely have more things that I'd like to share about myself and that will probably come through in the podcast, but like, that was kind of the core of like when I started seeing things, I wanted to recommit myself to being baptized and be part of my church. And I wanted to acknowledge that I finally understood what being born again meant. Yeah. To me, I did never consider myself born again. So my second baptism is kind of like for me, my born again. And I kind of had this, as I'm learning how to edit yesterday, I had this epiphany in my head about baptisms. And because I'm still not perfect after I got baptized, this idiom or analogy, I'm joking by idiom. Okay. I took my pants off to go get baptized to put on swim trunks, right? And probably a lot of the things I sin with would be my phone or tobacco pouches or nicotine pouches or whatever it may be. And it's in my pockets. Yeah. So as I getting ready to go baptized, I took it off, put my swimsuit on, go get baptized. And as I walked back out of the water, I put my pants back on. All the sin that I just wanted out of my life, I put it back on, and it's right in my pockets again. And so even after I really got baptized, there was a lot of these moments where God was working through things that I was like, I literally just got clean and fresh and new, and I put it right back on. And there's like these little things that I've carried on over the last few years that I'm like, God's just starting to remove them. Yeah. And it's just been amazing to me. Because I quit my job I'd had for about like 18 years. And my wife came to me one day and said, I didn't quit automatically. My wife came to me and said, God talked to me. And he said, he's going to take care of us. Yeah, I remember and she said that he's going to reshape you into a person that I won't even be able to recognize. And so I was like, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But as I've taken the steps, like he started removing things like my desire to even want to drink alcohol, even just a beer. It's like, I'll have a beer here and there. I'm not judging anyone that drinks, but I drank a lot more than that. And I wanted to remove that from my life. And I just prayed and it just overnight, like it just was this thing where I'm like, I literally just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I praise God for it. Like it was like this thing where I can't explain it. It was just amazing. And just little things like financially where God said he'd take care of us. Like when things started to look a little stressful, this money comes out of nowhere and just he's blessing us. And I don't think that happens for everybody. I don't think it's about that, but just trusting that God's
I was going to say, I think it's the trust. If you put your faith and trust that he will take care of you.
So as I saw the financial parts coming together, and I'm seeing it in real life, I'm like, well, what's the part where God's going to shape me? Yeah. Jesus or God. And it started happening, but I didn't really give it the merit or the credit that it deserved. And I just started seeing these things slowly start to change in me, where the identification of who I was is changing, and I was being born again. It just didn't happen for me the minute it happened. I was like, oh, praise God. Well, it was slower.
Sanctification's like a daily process.
Right.
So if you're remaining in God, in the Word, each day, it's almost like each day you're a new person.
Right. And I, at one point, me and Josh, our friendship, he owns a restaurant. And I was like, that's what I did prior to this. And I was like, hey, can I, do you need help with your restaurant? And they're like, yeah, I could use the help. And I'm like, so I go work there. And it was the group of individuals he had working there. I don't know many of them were Christians, or they were active Christians. But I remember feeling like a fish out of water, being like, because I was like listening to the Bible in my AirPods and like listening to worship music. And like, it definitely was this thing where I'm like, I'm going to be a Christian. I have to be.
Yeah.
So it was just these little changes that it became my identity. It wasn't through me, it was through Christ. So I think that's my testimony in a nutshell.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I'll get to it in a sec, but I think it's kind of cool. And I know you did touch on it last week, but for all of the the debate about the show The Chosen, some people hate it, some people love it, and yes, it's not biblically accurate, but I think that's a pretty cool cool story that's what got you on the road.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that night because I was starting on like season 3. And then we started watching it at like 8:00. I watched it through the night.
Yeah.
I literally watched 2 seasons. Like I couldn't get off of it. And then I went the next morning after I got some sleep. I jumped right into looking on YouTube at I'll have to reference it, or I'll plug it in the bottom and a tagline saying what show it was, but it's like the Bible Project, I think.
Okay.
And it's animated versions of the Bible in short story.
Yeah.
And they're really good. Started just going through that and kind of go through the Old Testament to the New Testament. And I guess the one thing I'd like to add to my testimony that I forgot to mention is, as I started reading the Bible on my own, because when I decided to do it, I wanted to do the Bible in a year. And I was on vacation, and we were in the middle of Lake Powell, and I had to sleep on top of this houseboat. And if you've been there before, it's like
actually never, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I can imagine. It's in Arizona.
So it's not a lot better than where we're at right now. So it was probably 100 degrees at night, and I'm just sweating and like miserable. But I'm like, if I'm going to be here and be miserable, I'm going to listen to the Bible. So I'm listening to Isaiah, and it gets to the part where it starts referencing Jesus. And I'm like, because I had internet there, and I looked up when Isaiah was written.
Yeah.
And it was like 400 or 700 years prior to when Jesus was born.
Living. Yeah.
And for me, that was like a breakthrough, where I'm like, not only am I secure in my faith, my faith in the Bible being the word of who God is, that was a game changer too. I guess I didn't add, like, actually having the Bible be the living word.
Yeah.
And needing to learn it, because I've read it over twice now. I'm working on the 3rd time, and it's like almost a new book every time. So, and it's seeing things I think we're going to touch on later to close on this, is seeing things that are happening today in the Bible popping up, and you're like, is this prophecy being fulfilled? So for me, it's just walking in step with everything.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you for sharing your testimony.
Yeah.
So that was my testimony. There's always things that when you go back and you listen to yourself give your testimony, you think, oh, there's something I missed. There's something that's really important, because God's working in our lives all the time. And even this podcast, when I started it, I had met a young man who we interviewed later on named Kobe, and I hit it off when we met at a church function. And I suggest going back and watching that, especially for parents. He's an outstanding young man, and he gives me hope for the younger generation. but just things how line up with God works through things. I kept on getting told to do a podcast or YouTube channel, and I was like, I'm not doing that. That's just not who I am. And eventually, my friend Josh said, let's make a YouTube channel, but let's try and bring people to Jesus. And I said, I've heard this so many times. It's got to be from Jesus. So I started planning it with him. As I met this guy Kobe, he invites me to go to his church. He attended my church. He goes to a different church now that's a sister church of ours. And a few days prior to that, I had sent him a video by Ruslan. He's also a YouTuber. Shout out to Ruslan. We like your show. And I shared this video with him. It was important to the subject of what we were talking about at the moment. And he invites me to church the next week. And lo and behold, Ruslan is the guest speaker at the church. And we go up and meet him and talk to him. And I just was like, this is either a really great coincidence or God is just telling me go after this. So if you like Ruslan, put it in the comments too. If there's other artists you guys like to, or YouTube channels you guys like, put it in the comments. We'd like to hear you guys like too. Like River Watchman is something me and Josh both watch. God Rules is somewhere I kind of watch every night for news. There's more. There's so much more that I like. I've been really enjoying listening to Wes Huff when he has something to say. So if there's anything in the podcast that you think is Christian related that we're missing out on, Sunday Cool. If you like fun laughing, Sunday Cool is my jam. So you'll see I added them in some of our videos sometimes when I get a chance. So leave it in the comments. And here's Josh's testimony. Thanks.
So I'll get into mine, I guess. Mine's a little different. It's more like particular stories along the way that happened to me that still kind of blow my mind that my life went this way, and that God kept giving me another chance.
Yeah. I'd like to note too, and before you get started, is one thing that was cool about our friendship is that when I said we had this time to spend with each other in the Marine Corps, we legitly talked about things that most, I don't think, friends or people have, like, because we had so much time.
Yeah.
We talked about crazy things, spiritual things that we weren't referencing it to God. It was just things that happened in our life that was crazy. So before you get on, like we really opened up to each other a lot. So like as we grew in our faith together as friends, or got to where we're at as friends, not phrase that differently. There was definitely this, I have a sense of like trust with you that like I'd start telling you things that I wasn't telling other people.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful to have a friend that you can trust that you're not going to be judged by it.
Soul talk.
And they'll be there. Yeah. And they'll be there for you. Like whether you're going through a great time or a bad time, they're like
soul talk. It's actually what's missing out of a lot of guys' lives. They feel like vulnerability is a weakness,
right?
But you hang on to everything, you let it build up, and it hardens your heart. Like releasing all of those things that you question that you did, or that you hang on to, and you have to release those things. So it's important to have people to talk to about that stuff, I think. But yeah, so I'll get into mine. Standard childhood. I was raised in a Lutheran family.
Okay.
Not strong Lutheran, like we'd go to church on Christmas Eve, whatever, Easter. Maybe a few times. My mom would try to get us to go, but my divorced parents, dad wasn't around. So my mom was working 70, 80 hours a week as a kid. So she would take us to church sometimes. They didn't have the kids care back then, or at least at the Lutheran church they didn't. I don't know if they do now, but I'm 5, 6 years old, just sitting in one of the pews, just bored and not paying attention to anything, probably annoying my mom beyond belief.
And everyone else around you.
And everyone else around me. But I did grow up believing in God.
Yeah.
Just the typical standard belief in God. I didn't know the Bible. I didn't know anything more about Jesus than he's the Son of God and he died for our sins.
Yeah.
And, but I believed, I had that childlike faith my whole life. Just anyone ask? Yeah, I believe in God. Sure. I would pray on occasion. But I didn't have like a relationship with God.
Right.
And as I got a little older, I still believed, but even that little bit kind of faded. And then while we were in the Marines, I don't know if you remember this story. This was such a weird one. We were out at a bar and this lady wearing all white came up to me, and it was like me and a few of the other guys. And she walks up and she goes, "Jason, she points at me and says, Jason, I see it in you. And I was like, taken aback. I was like, okay, that's my brother's name.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I see it in you. And then she started shaking her head and she's like, it happened when you were 21, the helicopter. And she started getting tears and she said, I'm so sorry. He's so sorry. Jason's sorry. And I was just like, whoa, what is going on right now?
Did this take place in California or was this
Huntington Beach?
Huntington, okay.
And I had not turned 21 yet. I was there with a illegitimate ID, right? And I hadn't turned 21 yet. I was turning 21 in 3 weeks. And randomly, our platoon had just started doing helicopter missions, which mortars did not do helicopter missions. This was a new thing, right? And so we were on helicopters a lot. And not coincidentally, my brother Jason was the one who talked me into joining the Marines. Yeah. He was a Marine. So this whole story, she's basically saying I die on a helicopter when I'm 21 and my brother is sorry. And it was just weird. You know, I was like, what is going on? Everyone with me was freaked out. And then to make it even more real, she talked about a dream I had the night my brother Jack died when I was 11.
Was she, I hate to interrupt you. Was she coming off as like a psychic or like?
Not coming off as anything. She was just a lady wearing all white.
Yeah, I wasn't with
blonde hair. It was so strange.
I know the story.
To this day, I don't know if this was an angel. I have no idea what this was.
Yeah.
But when we got back on Monday, back with our platoon, you know, obviously the guys who are going to be on the helicopter with me are freaked out. And so I went and saw our platoon sergeant, who actually let me speak to the platoon commander, which was kind of unheard of. And he sat down with me and I told him the story. And he's like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is crazy. Like, I believe what you're telling me, but we have a mission. And obviously I can't take you off the missions. You're a fire direction center chief. You have to operate the fire direction center.
You were a very important part of what we were doing. Because I was, and for anyone who doesn't know, we were serving together.
Yeah.
From the last podcast, we mentioned this. But like, you were a really big deal in the logistics of how we were doing everything as mortarmen.
Yeah. And so I was like, I fully understand that. I don't know why. I don't expect you to take me off these missions, but I had to tell you about this. And so fast forward a few weeks, I'm now 21 and we are on ship on like one of these aircraft carrier type things. It's not an aircraft carrier, but for people who don't know military. And we are on the ramp. Our gear is all set up. We're staged to go up, get on the helicopter and do this mission. And it's kind of like weird weather outside. It's windy. There's like storms around in the area. And I am, no joke, I'm pretty scared.
You look like you saw a ghost.
You remember this part. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was there with you.
Yeah.
I was going on the helicopter.
So and everyone, it was like the most silent I had ever heard.
I hate to jump in your testimony, but like without anyone knowing who you weren't just like an important part of what our mission was. Like, you were an important leader in our platoon, and you, without people knowing who you are, you're a really great leader who part of your great skill is you break through kind of the wall of being a leader with friendship, but you don't ever cross that line, which is one of your strengths, where you'll be respected, but you come off as a friend. And so you get to know everybody on a personal level. So to see you out of your comfort zone, and for lack of a better word, freaking out a little bit, like, bit. Literally you were pale. And everyone was like, as much as it was scary to know that you felt this, it was also scary to see you scared.
Yeah.
It breeds more fear.
Yeah.
So it's definitely this thing where, I'll let you carry on.
Okay.
I thought that was important to tell.
So, a couple minutes go by. We're literally like 5 minutes away from going up and getting on the helicopter, and up the ramp comes walking our company commander, and he just points to me and he's like, Engstrom, down here. And so I walk over and I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, this goes against everything I believe. This goes against everything inside of me, but I am pulling you from the mission today. Wow. And I was like, whoa, like, sir, I'm willing to go. Like, you don't have to do that, sir. And he's like, I do. I have to. And so I ran and grabbed my gear, and got out of there, and they went and got on the helicopter. The helicopter took off and got hit by a gust of wind, pushed down towards the ocean, caught itself, landed, and then you guys got off and they canceled the mission.
Were you viewing the helicopter?
No, I was inside.
You were just told about it?
Yeah, I was told.
I was on the helicopter,
yeah,
but it just seemed like it was like too rough conditions. I didn't know we almost crashed.
That's what I was told.
Okay. No, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying your version isn't real. I'm just saying it just seemed like we started to take off. It was bad.
Yeah.
And they landed like, we're not doing this.
Okay.
That's all I remember.
Okay.
But I mean, those helicopter rides flying off of an aircraft carrier were never fun anyways. So,
But yeah, so anyways, that's what I had been told about that. And so it always made me wonder, like, if I was on there 200 pounds plus my, 60, 70 pounds in gear, does it go all the way down?
Right.
But with that, I don't remember who told me, but I went and met with the chaplain of the base and told him about the story. And he told me to go and pray for the Holy Spirit that night. I had no idea what the Holy Spirit was. Wow. I had no idea anything about it, but I laid in the room that night and fortunately, conveniently, both of my roommates were not there for some reason. And I prayed in the room that night, and I felt something. I felt something come over me, and it was amazing. And that was like the first time I ever felt God, but I didn't know anything. Yeah. I didn't follow up, but I always had intuition in my life. Yeah. And so I feel like I always had the Holy Spirit after that. And fast forwarding a few years, I still not going to church. We're out of the Marines. And I pray one night. I'm like, God, I'm so broke. I really don't know how I'm literally going to buy food. I don't know what I'm going to do, Lord. I don't. Please help me. And so a couple nights later, I'm out and I run into someone I haven't seen in 6 years, who I barely knew from high school. And they're like, hey, Josh, I always loved how you did this in high school, or some story. And they're like, I'm making so much money selling cell phones. You should come do it. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Sure. And so I get an interview. I go, and it just seemed like the cheesiest, worst thing ever. Like, this guy's showing me pictures of people standing next to boats and all this in the interview. You're going to make so much money. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to this. Yeah. Right. And so, but he hires me and he tells me training's on Monday, 7 a.m. Be there. Gives me all this stuff. Well, Sunday night, I go out with friends and we're out drinking till 2 a.m. And I go to bed with zero intention of waking up. And I wake up at 6 a.m. completely sober for no reason. And I was like, I just prayed to God to give me an opportunity to make money, that I'm so broke. This all just happens. And I wake up with 3 hours of sleep, completely refreshed. I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to do this. Yeah. And so I did. I got up, got dressed, went and got that job. And then how that all unfolded. I was promoted to a manager within a month, promoted to a regional manager in 2 months, 3 years later, starting my own company and building that company. Right. And I always did give credit to God for that. I would tell people about that story and people were amazed by it. And then the devil got to me. Yeah. When the company I started was new and like just taking off, we were out with some of the higher ups for that carrier and talking to them, telling them our story. And I told her this story. And then I said, and I've just always felt like God gives me the direction I'm supposed to go. And I feel like I make the right decisions because I just leave it to God. And she goes, that's not God. You're a genius. And I was like, huh. And that was the devil. Yeah. And it started festering in my mind. Yeah. And from that point forward, my life completely took a turn. Yeah. I started thinking in prideful ways. I started giving credit to myself for things. Yeah. And I started focusing on the things of the world. I cared about what car I had, what clothes I was wearing, how I could impress people, what trips I could go on. Everything went in a different direction from that moment.
To your point, that was the part of our friendship where we kind of split for a while.
Yeah.
Like we weren't in communication, and I wasn't there to judge you, but I could see the shifts you're talking about. It wasn't, I didn't think that you had changed as a person. I thought you were trying to keep up and like to not to fit in to be cool or anything like that. It just was almost like you kind of had to manufacture this, because it was I went and worked with you for a while at the company before you started, and it was a dog eat dog. It was vicious.
Yeah.
And it was like the movie Boiler Room, where everyone's like super think they're the best salesman in the world, and like it would definitely it chewed me up and spit me out. I didn't want to be part of it. Yeah. So like I was one of those, you were really good at it, and I was like, I want you do your thing, bro. I'm like, luckily we got back in touch. So
yeah. And that was God, I was with that company. We built the company to be a big company. Mm-hmm. And after so many years, I feel like God started calling me back a little bit. Like I started to question what I was doing. I started to question the decisions I was making, who I had become. And so I sold my part of that company and stepped away. And that's when we moved back to Arizona. And from there, God started to have a pull on my life. But at the same time, I still had a lot of bad habits. I was still doing a lot of things wrong. But I was now married, now had 2 kids, and I'm trying to set a good example for them. I'm trying to be a good person for my kids. But I was twisted, and I was not happy in my own head. Yeah. And this is my turning point to getting to where I'm at coming up. And that is, I was addicted to my phone, and I was hooked on just reading everything about the world. Right? Politics, just how screwed up everything seemed. I was so unhappy with all of it. Yeah. But I was consuming it nonstop, just information after information after information after information. This person's a liar. This person's cheating. This person's doing this. And I couldn't get away from it. And that's where I felt like I was the furthest from God I had ever felt in a way. And I prayed. And I asked God, and I hadn't prayed in a long time. Yeah. And I asked God, I said, Lord, just please, I need you. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't know why I'm so unhappy. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Yeah. And I went to bed. And the next morning I woke up with this draw to download a book, like an audio book. And I open up iBooks or whatever, and I download like the first one. I don't know why. That one, boom, and it was only 2 hours long. And I listened to the whole thing the first day, and the entire premise of the book was putting your phone down, staying away from information. It was saying that we were created with the ability to retain so much information, but when we fill our minds, we're not able to connect. And it had the New Age twist. It said to the source or the universe, but I took that that's God. We're not able to connect to God. And so I did. I put my phone down that day, and I'm like, I'm not replying to anything. I'll get on my computer to answer emails for work, but I'm not texting people. I'm not looking at my phone. Yeah. And about a week went by, and I woke up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and I get up, and as I lay back down, I just feel just this presence, just encompass me. I'm surrounded, and it's like I was surrounded in light, but it wasn't external. It's like I was filled with light. Yeah. And it just felt like I was being hugged. Just the most amazing feeling ever.
Very similar to when I told you I was a kid, the sun. Yeah. It's warm, and it's like, yeah.
And I heard, not audible, but I heard inside of me, you've been seeking all the answers when I am the answer. Yeah. I am the answer. I am the answer to everything. I am your cure, basically. Yeah. And he said more. There was more, and it went on. And I was just laying there, just tears streaming down my face. Just the greatest love I had ever felt. Yeah. And that was when everything turned for me. I woke up, and I started praying, and I started reading the Bible every day. Like you said, I've now read the Bible 3 times in the last year and a half. I've gone to these conferences, go to church, and it's just, the Bible came alive. Yeah. Like you said, I had tried reading the Bible probably 20 times in my life. Yeah. And it was just words on paper. I would get like halfway through Genesis and just be like, okay. Yeah. This time though, it was like, oh my gosh, really? Like this is what it's saying? And just reading through it, it was like the most amazing book that I couldn't put down. And since that day, I have felt the pull. Like God wants more from me. I don't know if it's moving towards being a pastor. I don't know what it's moving towards. You and I starting this is a step. I know all I can do right now is just take steps, and God will keep leading and guiding, and we'll end up where I'm meant to end up. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was my testimony. It's beautiful.
For all you gangsters who made it all the way to the end of our testimonies, I just want to say thank you for tuning in today. It's short, sweet, and simple. That's kind of what made us who we are today as Christians, and I hope you can resonate to some of it and you got to know us a little bit better. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. We don't like to say this in the video too much because it's not about that for us. It's about spreading who Jesus was and is, and hopefully that resonates with you. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.